welcome everybody to the Daily Space Weather. We're streaming live on Twitch, and thanks if you're viewing the video on BitShooter on YouTube also. We're starting things out looking at the sun at 131 angstroms to see a sunspot cycle 25 variety forming in the northeast, and we see multiple umbrae associated with that already. We see an increase in the X-ray flux and all kinds of other exciting things like some big deep earthquakes happening in Oceania. Let's look at some more views, such as the 94 angstroms view. And these are the two two wavelengths, 131 and 94 are the ones that take 10 images per minute instead of only 2. And we'll be using these more and more as solar activity ramps up. And thank goodness for that. Welcome to Cycle 25. Welcome to the Neo Renaissance. I be your host, El SMAsho, Del Masho Tank. And I'll let that play through. And there's Helioviewer. We're going to look at the fields next. And I'm going to actually zoom in for once on that sunspot. And we do see umbrae. We'll show you at the end. There are the fields. And we see an uptick in solar activity. So that's a good thing, folks. Let's look at some custom movies. Here's the region 2758, former sunspot, which is now just a plage, setting in the southwest. And we're also going to show you that same view in 304 angstroms, which also does include the south solar polar region. And we see a little bit of brightness down there in the South Pole region, another indication that the sun is ramping up into another solar cycle. So again, thank goodness for that. And crown prominences are one of the indications that the sun is active and not going to sleep. The sun's not dead yet, folks. It's not down, it's not out. It's still acting sunny. And for that, we thank you. Here is the northern region, and this will show you largely the formation of that sunspot, or at least it's turning into view. And you can see that on the left of your screen there. And it's a decent sized sunspot. There's a significant amount of space in between the fields, so we're expecting to see some activity out of that, possibly some X-ray flares. We'll keep an eye on it. Next, we're looking at Stereo A's coronagraph, and if you're a new viewer, Stereo A is located out here, Stereo B is located out here, Stereo A is looking this way. We use this to see coronal mass ejections, and there's no other way to see them earlier than by looking at the Stereo A coronagraph. So we were looking at a sun-diving comet, and looks like it's become part of the sun now, essentially. You can barely see it there on the left of the coronagraph. So that's probably the last we'll see of that, although it could have swung around the back of the sun. We'll be keeping an eye on that too. Next, we're going to look at the locations of things like planets in the solar system. There's where they are now, and there's where they'll be in 1 week. How was your St. Patrick's Day? By the way, it's only 1 day and 18 hours until spring. Are you prepared? Are you hiding in a bunker because people don't understand coronavirus at all? Are you economically confused? Watch me vanish. Poof! Oh, I guess you watched me appear. All right. Anyway, we're going to be doing a live stream both on Twitch and on YouTube at the time of the equinox. So there's a countdown. We'll actually start streaming about a half an hour before that time. So look for that coming up. Here's where stuff is above my head. Let me refresh. And we see a big pile up right now happening as Jupiter and Mars and the Moon and Saturn are all occupying a very small sliver of sky. So if you've got a telescope, drop me a line, take a photo. It's smashomash@gmail.com, smashomash@gmail.com, just like it sounds. KP index is down to 1, And the 10.7 centimeter radial flux has jumped up to 72 solar flux units. So once again, more good news, folks. That's what we like to see, an increase in the radial flux. A good proxy for sunspot number in terms of solar activity, as it almost precisely correlates with sunspot number. You can see a little bit of an uptick there in the X-ray flux. We've seen very low levels here for a while, so don't be surprised to see some flaring out of that sunspot, as it's looking pretty big. Next, we're going to look at cosmic rays real quick. Here's the Apatity neutron monitor, as well as Barentsburg. Precipitous drop-off at the end there at Apatity. Barentsburg. They're both looking pretty flat over 30 days there, folks. Next, we'll look at Athens, Greece. And we always link the network of cosmic rays station below the video if you want to monitor cosmic rays yourself. Don't take my word for it. There's Athens, looking like some anomalous data there on the 5th, otherwise flat over 30 days. Next, Mexico City, which hasn't been reporting. There we go. She's back online. The Mexico City Cosmic Ray Observatory, looking flat as well over the past 30. Moscow is the next on the list. There's the Moscow neutron monitor. And a slight downtrend there at Moscow following some oddities. And if you watch our channel regularly, you're all too aware of that. And if you're a patron or a subscribe star, then you knew about it even before we produced a video about it. Next, we'll look at Oulu's neutron monitor. There's Oulu, Finland. Slight downtick over the past 30. DOMB doesn't send information from Antarctica right now. DOMC does. There is the past 30 there, also looking flat. Again, monitor these yourself if you like. If you see anything weird, drop me a line. It's smashomash@gmail.com. At least that's the one I give out publicly. Next, we'll look at the real-time solar wind here from the Discover, and notice the way they're shading in portions of the phi angle, which is nice. It helps to correlate data. Current phi angle up at 350 degrees or so, 49 degrees, which is about the same thing. Solar wind density, 6.08 protons per cubic centimeter, and solar wind speed 380 or so kilometers a second. There's the data from ACE, and there's the most recent data that amassed while I did show prep. Next, the magnetosphere movies, which we show daily. And this is 4 hours of data. Nothing too exciting going on there. No reason to go, oh my God! Don't say, oh my God. Please leave a comment if you know who Gond is. Next, we'll look at the ground magnetic perturbations. I don't know if you're aware, but we've got two North Poles and a South Pole creeping off of the Antarctic continent into the Indian Ocean towards southwestern Australia. And there are the geographic polar views, and not a whole lot of ground magnetic perturbations going on. We're going to show you the world view after this, and there's the view from the equatorial plane, the line of sight equatorial plane, you could call it. And we see fairly uniform magnetic perturbations here across the northern hemisphere, and pretty smooth in the south, but you can still see evidence that it is creeping toward southwestern Australia. And it's not all over yet, folks. We're not all going to die, at least not today. Although if there's a neutron star comet that crashes into the planet, that could do something. Anyway, there's the GOES magnetometer, and it's looking spiky, and we're still missing one of the spacecraft there. The GOES 15, I believe it is, not sending data. And so that, as forecasted, similarly spiky readings. And here's the Gong 2 information. This is derived from 51 ground-based magnetometers, as well as one out here on stereo A and one out here on stereo B. Nothing too exciting happening there, and expect the South Pole to remain in charge of the current sheet shown here in red because of the location of that sunspot. I'm not going to get into the magnetohydrodynamics of the way the sun works in this video, as this is the daily space weather, not a cosmology segment. And by the way, the sun is the Rosetta Stone of cosmology. That's why we study it. Anyway, there's the data from the line of sight field plot, and you see at the end, you can see that sunspot rotating into view there in the northeast. Electron flux is quite low. And there you can see no data coming from one of the GOES. I think that's also the GOES 15. And you can see the electron flux very low there, very low. And this is going to ramp back up over the next 24 to 48 hours. Next, the ionosphere map. This is 6 hours of near real-time data for the ionosphere, courtesy of Government of Australia Bureau of Meteorology. And we still see some anomalous charge-ups in the South Pacific. Right around this area. Anomalous charge-ups at nighttime, folks. We've been covering it for months. And here's the latest image. That one at 9 o'clock UT. And it looks like some measuring errors along the prime meridian once again. We've seen some of that in the past. By the way, if you enjoy the content on YouTube, please don't forget to press like and subscribe. And share on your social media, as there's going to be exclusive content everywhere. Let's talk about some exclusive content. It's the Beastronic Beastrons channel. Now, a lot of folks have talked about how they want to see a longer video for the fish tank. So here's one 3 days ago. This one's 2 hours and 23 minutes long. By the way, that's smAsho staff's channel, the Beastronic Beastrons. That's one of the nicknames for these dudes. So if you want that 2.5 hour video, maybe download the Twitch app, but certainly follow us on Twitch, as we are streaming live there now. And as you saw, her channel is auto-hosting this very video. So thanks for that, and thanks to our patrons. For those of you not patrons, please consider becoming one. You will get updates first. You'll even get some free music, ringtones, stuff like that, all kinds of other benefits. You'll get breaking news before anybody else, except for our subscribe stars, because those who pay us get the information first. And let's just say there are some issues with YouTube, especially during an election year, as you will find oddities, anomalies, and general weirdness. Congratulations to Bernie Sanders for getting his you-know-what handed to him again last night in apparently 3 primaries. Well done, Bernie. Slow clap for you, Bernie. Have you decided to retire yet? By the way, if you don't follow the hashtag #MummifyBernie, follow the hashtag #MummifyBernie. Because Bernie's answer to everything is to make the government bigger. And as far as making the government bigger, I think I'll pass. The government is in collusion with big business, which is why we gotta make the government much, much bigger. Have you seen our most recent BitChute upload? It includes some of my Smash history.
All right, everybody, I wanted to do a special.
Here's a teaser.
94, and they were already turning into indoctrination camps.
Smash history, reading, writing, arithmetic, psychology, oh my. Let's talk about the Heliosphere. We spend a lot of time talking about the current sheet on this channel. Let's talk about the Heliosphere. Now, there's a lot of conjecture about it, about how, oh my, the universe is electric and yada, yada, yada. A bunch of people that don't understand the physics at all, or what the word electric even means, who think that the Heliosphere is donut-shaped or shaped like sheep's bladders and may be employed to prevent earthquakes, or that it's banana-shaped. Well, there's some recent information coming out indicating that perhaps it's more shaped like a croissant. And it is very interesting to try to guess where the magnetic field force lines for the sun actually go to. And while I have theories, I'm not going to share them in this video, because somebody will probably steal my idea and then claim that it was theirs. So anyway, Reimagining the Solar System's Protective Bubble, the Heliosphere, is a great article on phys.org. Well, we don't really know the shape of it, But since Voyager 1 and Voyager 2 have exited the heliopause, they've exited the solar system officially, there's a lot of conjecture as to how it's shaped. Some people seem to think it has a comet tail. Some people think there's a cone shape to it. Some people think that the whole thing is a Birkeland current, which is at 90 degrees to the actual angle that it must be at, as they don't understand the difference between poloidal and toroidal fields. We've tried and tried to talk reason to some of these people, but they just don't listen, and they just clutch their pearls and say, I don't want to talk to you anymore because I can't explain my own bullshit. I'm inviting you to watch today's weekly Space Hangout featuring Dr. Meng Jin, as there are some new techniques to model coronal mass ejections coming out. I don't know if this involves Rossby waves or if it's something else. This one comes live in 14 hours on YouTube. Check it out on universetoday.com. That should be an interesting one, and we'll be watching that probably tomorrow. And I'll let you know if there's any news to come out with about it. Next, we'll look at windy.com's pressure maps. Here's a GFS forecast as we let this advance. Low pressure system about to strike Greenland. And let me pause this about 24 hours from now. There's where things will be at about 1 p.m. actually, tomorrow afternoon. And if you're wondering where I'm located, I'm in Lehigh Valley, Pennsylvania. Don't try to invade the bunker. Just try to rob a bank. You'll find that it's more survivable and likely to succeed. So we saw some big earthquakes, and at least one of them's a deep one too. Not good news for Oceania. Let's go up the list. Here's a deep one. At Russia, south of the Kamchatka Peninsula. That's the second one we've seen in a couple of days there, south of Kamchatka. Perhaps that area fixin' to have a larger quake at the surface. Here's another deep one at Japan. That one coming in at 1510 yesterday. It's a 5.0 magnitude at 227 kilometers depth. Here's the second largest quake of the past 24. It's a 6.0 magnitude at Tonga. That one at the surface. Next, a very deep quake at Fiji. It's only a 4.5 magnitude, but it's 542.3 kilometers deep. That is a deep quake. And just scrolling up the list, we did see one in Kansas there, a new Madrid quake perhaps, or perhaps a frac quake. I don't care enough to actually look. So, here at 3:13 today, Universal Time, we see a 5.4 at depth striking Indonesia. And at almost the exact same time, only seconds apart, we see a 6.1 at Vanuatu at an even greater depth, 178.8 kilometers there. Another deep quake at Fiji, that one happening only 14 minutes after the 6.1. It's a 4.6 magnitude at 112.5 kilometers, and then we see another deep quake at Fiji, a 4.9 magnitude at 526 kilometers depth. So that's quite a little odd deep earthquake event over a very short period of time. Just ping-ponging back and forth. Ding, 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 ding. So that's quite interesting. Here's another deep quake in the Caribbean at Dominica. And here's a 5.5 at the Solomon Islands. So uptick in quakes, deep quakes. And man, if this 6.1 would have happened at the surface, that would be over a 7 magnitude quake there, folks. So if you're in an earthquake-prone zone, please have a plan. Know which buildings may fall. By the way, I don't know if you're aware that the financial collapse is probably engineered to institute more stringent and intrusive government control over you. Also, the Fed has lowered its banking fractional reserve requirement to 0. Your bank used to have 10% of your deposits in cash, and now it needs to have 0. Process that. Anybody who's hiding their money in cash right now is out of their damn minds, and we're going to get into economics in a bit. So anyway, if you don't follow me on Instagram, you may not have known that yet, as I don't just go around telling everybody everything all the time, because frankly, it's a waste of my time. Oftentimes, they don't listen anyway. Let's see how crypto's been getting hit. Here's Bitcoin's one-year chart, and it has been getting hammered, but it looks like it's finding some support there around $5,200. Next, we'll look at Ethereum on the same exchange, the Coinbase exchange, which is the one I use. And watch out for the volume data on crypto, folks. The volume data is often not well understood, as all the different exchanges have completely different reporting procedures. So Ether all the way down to $113 a coin. Man, crypto's been getting hammered. Doesn't look like a safe haven to me. It correlates to the stock market lately. So the market was up again yesterday. Volatility is extremely high. And let's talk real quick about how to evaluate individual stocks. I'm going to just look at one factor here, and we're going to look at top gainers, market mover, Dow Incorporated. So in a market like this, what you want to do is understand value. And what does value mean? Well, value means valuation in terms of price to earnings ratio. So you can see the PE ratio here of Dow Chemical is negative 11.01. Price to earnings ratio is simply the price of the stock divided by the earnings for the quarter. So that is a buy all the way. I mean, a negative 11 valuation. Now, this is part of the reason why tech stocks crashed in 1999 and 2000. Tech stocks were way overvalued. Companies had PE ratios of 60 and of 150 and stuff like that. So while they're reporting negative $2.42 earnings per share, they're still at a negative valuation. So that's one of the main factors, folks. Now, keep in mind there's also a lot of other things to look at, such as market conditions and the Fed's interest rates and market capitalization and all that sort of stuff. I just wanted to show you one version of what's going on here. Price to earnings ratio, the PE ratio. All companies that print earnings will have a PE ratio number listed when you look at a quote. And that is one of the ways that you find value in a beaten up market. And there's lots of it. It is a buyer's market right now for everything from crypto to precious metals. I mean, silver. Actually, let's go back to that a minute. I just want to cite that once again today. Silver has continued to dip. It's at about the same price it was yesterday, down 11 cents per ounce to $12.38 an ounce. Absolutely unbelievable. As we don't see money getting transferred to precious metal, an indication that the whole market scare is nothing more than a panic. It's much ado about nothing. It doesn't make any sense for gold to crash with the stock market, but there it is. So don't expect the precious metals to continue to perform with the market. I'll just say that. Were you aware that urban land could grow fruit and vegetables for 15% of the population, according to research? Well, that's a good thing, isn't it? How about some good news by the University of Sheffield? We are actually seeing some urban farmed vegetables where I'm located. One of the products that we see regularly are things like fruit and vegetables coming out of New Jersey and New York, which are clearly grown indoors. So this is a great thing, folks. It's going to enable us to grow all kinds of tropical plants and things inside. So these operations are actually growing right now, so look for more of that to be coming in the future. That's a great thing. Welcome to the Neo Renaissance, folks. It's nice to report on good news like sunspots and an increased radio flux and so on. Check out smAsho.org if you haven't. It's got links as well as links to the forum. There's where you link to the forum, or you can just type in smashomash.com/forum. We've updated the virus section. So no more Uber and Lyft in the US and Canada until this blows over, and man, does it ever blow. The human response to coronavirus is absolutely pathetic and ridiculous. Here's a drunken idiot in New Jersey who got arrested for a DUI and then coughed on police. An officer asked her to cover her mouth, and she responded to the request by coughing on the officer, telling him, "Oh, by the way, I have the coronavirus, and so do you now." She's been charged with an extra count of causing a public false alarm. She yelled fire in a crowded theater. Whoops. Californians are calling cops on the neighbors if they hear them coughing. What a pathetic thing that is. And what did the cops do? Well, you'd think that they would tell them to only call for emergencies, but it turns out that they've decided to respond by sending paramedics to test the cougher and possibly even remove them from their home. So anyway, let's put all of the fear, overreaction, and general ignorance in perspective. You want to know the real causes of death worldwide? Well, we've put an image about that too. It's mainly caused by cardiovascular diseases and cancers. And yeah, I don't know if you were aware, but it's true. It's true. By the way, stop taking ibuprofen and take paracetamol instead. I have no idea what paracetamol is. Please leave a comment if you've ever even heard of it. And let's look at the real-time data here. Total confirmed cases approaching 200,000. Total deaths approaching 8,000. And we've got nearly 82,000 recovered. Here's the graph. Come on. I know you can click. Get out of the way, Epic Pen. There we go. And there's the current graph. Keep in mind, folks, mortality rates are going to continue to drop as testing continues to come out. Don't expect to see the mortality rate go up. There's probably 1 billion people already on the planet that have been exposed to this. And if you try to track any communicable disease vector with this degree of detail, it's going to look a lot scarier than it really is. So don't be scared. Understand what to do, and don't believe all the nonsense you hear on the internet. Mount Aso is producing a 5,000-foot ash plume. If you didn't know, Volcano Discovery's got the information for you. Mount Ibu exploding, 7,000-foot plume there. Krakatoa back to erupting. Krakatoa, the deadliest volcano on Earth over the past couple of years, having killed a few hundred people. In, I believe it was late 2018. Mount Dakono exploding, flight level 7,000 there. Popocatépetl exploding, flight level 20,000 there. Sangay exploding, flight level 22,000 there. Revenador has dispersed its volcanic ash emissions, and while we're unable to detect whether or not Sabancaya is erupting, please do not attempt to pole vault the caldera. It could be bad for your health. Next, we'll look at the jet streams, and there you see the jet streams. Extreme meridional jet stream flow once again. Probably going to hear news about how Greenland is melting as we've got warm air pushing up there. Here's the eastern world's jet streams. And we see a tripled up jet stream in the northern hemisphere. We see the jet stream blow in the wrong direction near the equator in the south, and it's tripled up in the south also. It is jacked up, and it's not caused by carbon dioxide by any stretch of the imagination. So let's look at water vapor maps. Here is Africa and Europe. Here is the Far East and Oceania. And here's the US. And check out the weird fluxed-ass clouds over the Four Corners region. We're going to zoom in on that, as that is funky. It's the funky Cypress Hill stuff. All right. Check out the Hall currents. Me, oh my. Should be some fascinating cloud formations around that area, the Southern Rockies, etc. Check it out. 100% Hall currents all around the board. Weird crisscross patterns, those are not caused by chemtrails, those are not caused by contrails. Those are caused by the fact that the Earth's atmosphere is a capacitor in the global electric circuit. Next, we're going to look at the US Doppler radar map, and there you see that. It looks like some heavy storms hitting central Texas. Shout out to Central Texas. And let's see if there's any lightning striking. Shout out to Dallas-Fort Worth. I think there's thunder rolling in. All right, the lightning has ceased, it looks like. Anyway, check out lightningmaps.org. Next time you hear thunder, oh, there we see some. Paris, Texas. There's thunder rolling in. That's a real-time lightning map, by the way. And hey, Smash team, thanks for tuning in to the Smash stream, whether you viewed it in syndication or you viewed it live. Is it live or is it Memorex? Next, we're going to look at that sunspot, and there's the current intensity gram, and you can see at least 3 umbra there. Looks like probably even 4 umbrae. So there you go. Let's look at the fields. And this is a very high-res image, folks. And there are the fields, and they're significant. So, yeah, we've got some space between those umbrae. This could turn into a pretty intense sunspot. Let's take out one more bonus feature here. How about the 304 angstroms full disk view that we haven't viewed yet? Here's the full disk 48-hour video in 304 angstroms. Here's me vanishing. Oh my God! Thanks for tuning in. Remember, stare at the sun, don't drink, and if you do, don't drive, and since it'll never be now again, may the solar wind be at your back and the atherosclerosis absent from your arteries.